Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I don't have an intro for you guys today, so we're just going to hop right into this tutorial. I'm using the Urban Decay Priming Potion to prep and set my eyes for eyeshadow. This is an oldie but a goodie. Then we're using the Urban Decay Naked Heat Palette, and I'm going to dip my brush into the shade Sauced. And we're just going to begin applying this on the outer corner in little circular patting motions, and then dragging it up into the crease and then all the way to the inner corner. Just to make sure to buff this back and forth, adding pigment as you go until you have the desired shape and pigmentation that you are looking for before moving on to the next step, which I will take my tried and true Sephora blending brush to make sure that this is all nicely blended and buffed out before moving on to my other eye. Moving on to the other eye, I am once again just going to pat little circular motions on that outer corner and then sweep it up into the crease all the way into the inner corner in windshield wiper motions. This will help ensure that we have a nice buffed out look, along with having a nice base for the rest of the colors that will come into play as we move through this look. Once I am satisfied and that's all blended out, I'm going to dip my brush into the shade Low Blow. Now with this shade in particular, I want to keep that pigment mostly concentrated on that outer corner. I will bring it up into the crease and all the way into the inner corner in windshield wiper motions. But I do not want to bring this as high as I did with the shade Sauced. I want this to stay mostly in that crease. So just lots of wiggles. I am dragging it all over my lid just to give it a nice blowout. I am covering that up with a shimmer shade, so I'm not super concerned with how messy this is kind of being. My main focus is just to make sure I have a nice blended look and we have a kind of gradient look from darker to lighter colors, and then a nice shine when we go in with a brow highlight. So again, doing those same steps to my other eye, patting motions, little circular motions, and then sweeping windshield wiper motions, and then a little buff out. The last shade we're going to use before we go in with a lid shade is Cayenne. And this shade, I am keeping it on the outer corner. I am not dragging this high up into the crease. I am not bringing it all the way into the inner corner. It is staying on the outer corner, so we have a nice rich depth to the eye. This is also going to give it a little bit of a smoky glow, so that is what I want. So that is where we are going to place it. So just little patting, buffing motions. I will buff it up into the crease ever so slightly just to have some nice shape. And again, having that gradient effect, but nothing too crazy. I don't want this to get super messy or be too smoky. So that is what we are doing. Just blend, blend, blend. Easy, smooth colors until you're satisfied. You can go back in with a fluffy blending brush if you feel like you need to before moving on to the lid shade. Just take your time. Once we're done with that, I'm going to use my Jaclyn Hill x Morphe palette, her original OG from a few years ago. However, this is a brand new palette that I purchased this year of 2020. And I know there's a lot of controversy between this one and when the original one came out, between formulation, color payoff, all that jazz. But I have to say, I still love this palette as much as I did years and years ago. So I just wanted to let you guys know that as a disclaimer so that you guys are aware. But I'm picking up the shade Little Lady, and I am obsessed with this shade. If you have the Urban Decay palette and you don't have this one, you can use the shade Lumbar. That one is just a little bit more of a red and gold versus this is a pink and gold. But both are gorgeous and both are beautiful. Once I'm done applying that lid shade, I want to make sure that there's no harsh line between where that lid shade ends and those transition shades begin. So I'm just going to go back in with the shade Sauced and Low Blow and blend that out. Also dipping into my tried and true blender. And then I'm going in with a little bit of that Cayenne too to kind of blend that together before moving on to our face. So once I'm done with my little dance break, I'm taking my Fenty Beauty Pro Filtr Instant Retouch Primer, and I'm just applying that all over my face to prep for foundation. For foundation, I'm using my Fenty Beauty Pro Filtr Hydrating Longwear Foundation, and I'm just going to warm this up using my fingertips before applying it all over my face. And this is a way that I have really been enjoying wearing foundation. Before, about a year or two ago, I never wore foundation. It wasn't something that I thought really looked well on my skin. And I've used a brush, I've used a beauty blender, and now I'm back to using the good old fingertips. I've seen people on Instagram do this for those that like more of a natural finish, that like to see their skin, that don't really like a super high coverage or medium coverage. So this was kind of my little balance between the two. I get a nice base where it kind of evens out my skin tone, but without looking super cakey. Since I do go in with setting powder and also more powder, blush, bronzer, highlighter, this is kind of my way of keeping everything super fresh and as clean and beautiful and youthful as possible, since powders are definitely not natural finishes on skin. Then Dax decided to come say hello to you guys, and I'm going to just blend out that foundation to make sure I have no fingertip marks on my face before moving on to concealer. I'm going to mix the colors Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer with my Colourpop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Creamy Concealer and apply that all over my face. And then also Gemma decided to say hello to you guys as well. She loves the spotlight. She loves it. She's all about it. Once I have concealer applied to all the places that I feel like I need it, I'm just going to use my beauty blender to buff all of that in. I am really enjoying loving both of these concealers. Super good ones. For setting powder, I'm using the Too Faced Born This Way Eternal Setting Powder. I am in love with this powder. I've used several in the past, such as the Laura Mercier one, Cover FX, and of course, the Hourglass. And I have to say, Laura Mercier one has... Once I've discovered some of these other ones, I've never gone back. I love the Cover FX one and the Too Faced one. Between the two, definitely maybe try out the Too Faced. You do get a little bit more product for, I believe, a little bit less expensive than the Cover FX one. But of course, the Hourglass knocks them all out of the court, but again, is the most expensive. Moving on to bronzer, I'm using my Khloe x Milika palette. Now, I have been ride or die for my Fenty Beauty Shady Biz bronzer, but sitting in my cubby where I have all of my makeup next to it where I film, I decided to give this one a whirl again, and I have fallen in love with it all over again, and I have been reaching for it more and more when I go and sit and do my makeup. So just blending this on my face in the shade of the 3, my temples, my cheekbones, and a little bit on my jawline. Once I've got this kind of where I want it to be, to make sure I don't have any harsh lines, since I can be pretty heavy-handed, since bronzer and blush are things that tend to leave me pretty quickly, I will use my face brush without adding any additional powder and blend that out so we have a nice look. And it almost looks like skin. So once I'm done with that, I'm moving on and using my MAC Warm Soul Blush. This is an oldie but a goodie. I used to wear this all the time in college. It was the first blush I purchased from MAC, and I've recently rediscovered it and I've fallen in love with it. It is the perfect summer blush. It is bronzy, it is beautiful, it's got little flecks of shimmer in it, and it is gorgeous. Such a good blush, such a good staple, perfect for summer. So I'm just going to blend that all out onto my cheekbones. And again, since I am heavy-handed, I will go in and buff it out to make sure that it's not super harsh, which I don't think I did this time filming-wise. But moving on to highlighter. I am using the Soft and Gentle Highlight by MAC, applying this to the high points of my face, my cheekbones, on my nose, and across the bridge. I will also use the same highlight to highlight my brow bone. Get a nice little glow. We will be glowing to the heavens, even though we're all stuck at home. We are going to glow. Then I'm going to use my Colourpop Brow Boss Pencil. Quickly snap my fingers and have brows because I hate doing them. And then we're going to do our lower lash line using the shade Sauce and Low Blow to buff and smoke that out, to kind of wrap up the eye look before moving on to some of the final steps, because we are nearing the end of this tutorial. I'm going to mix together the mascaras Covergirl Lashblast Super Size and the Urban Decay Perversion mascara. Then going in with my favorite Bareminerals Gen Nude patented lip lacquer in the shade In Real Life. I am obsessed with this shade. I wear it all the time. It is my favorite. Then again, hopping into that Urban Decay Naked palette, I am picking up the shade Ounce and highlighting my inner corner to make sure that this look is glowing, beautiful, and comes full circle. Here is the finished look, you guys. Besides locking and loading this baby in with some Urban Decay All-Nighter Setting Spray, this is the completed look. This is my quarantine couch glam. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a big thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe. Also follow me on Instagram. I know these are hectic times, and I hope this video lifted your spirits, gave you some inspiration, or just maybe took your mind off of everything going on. But as always, I love you guys so much. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!